up, everybody? Happy Friday night. With who? Your favorite medium? Me. Well, thanks for coming and watching tonight. I just wanted to say happy Friday. It's been a crazy week with this energy of Lionsgate portal coming and all of the moon energy and just the solar storms and everything has just been like crazy in the energetic world. So, welcome to Friday night energetic world. Just kidding. Okay, so I'm in New Hampshire this evening at my cousin's house. The beautiful background. I'm here because Jade, my daughter, is turning 16. We're having a big family party for her, so I'm really excited. Um, Tonight, I was supposed to have special guest Leif. However, he is a miner and he is mining in the mountains and he doesn't have service. So, my apologies for this evening. But that's okay. We're going to talk about some cool stuff this evening. We're going to talk about experiences, places I've been, what's happened to me while I've been there. Creepy stuff. We're going to talk about that tonight. And I had actually a crazy experience right here in this seat right before I started this. So we're going to talk about that too. But first, make sure you check my website out at www.starshiptemperance.com. That's where you can find me for all the cool things and my awesome glitter tea. I don't know. I have glitter tea. It's organic. It's locally sourced and it's amazing. It's all herbal, so it all serves a purpose and you can see all of that on the website. I also have honey local to Vermont too. It's really amazing. So anyways, check out my website. But let's talk a little bit because Leaf is a miner and he mines turquoise and other really cool minerals. I want to get into a little bit about Lionsgate before we get into experiences that I've had because Lionsgate is coming up in 2 days. That goes from July 28th till April 12th. Specifically, we like to talk about the 8/8 portal, right? Which is August 8th. So, with the Lionsgate portal, there are crystals that you can use to enhance your manifestations because Lionsgate is really about being open to receiving abundance and what your heart desires. And that's pretty much what Lionsgate is, right? It's the time where really it's the new year. That's when the Egyptians considered their new year was at Lionsgate because the Nile would flood and wipe everything out. And it was kind of like a transformation period, a rebirth, if you will. So it was kind of like the beginning of the year is what they would use Lionsgate for. So there are crystals that you can use to enhance your heart's desires and your manifestations through this time of Lionsgate. And what is good, you can use jade. And let's talk about jade for a minute because my daughter's name is Jade, and I did name her before I kind of started this journey. So it's kind of just funny how life turns out. But she's also a Leo, and Lionsgate comes in Leo time, right? You look at the Sphinx, right? That was all created for the Lionsgate portal in Leo season. And I believe that we choose our own names when we come into this life, which is funny how Jade is Jade and she's a Leo. And she really thrives during Leo season, obviously. So that's kind of cool. So you can use jade to enhance abundance in your manifestations. You can also use citrine. Citrine is really good for like happiness and success. I use citrine a lot. It brings in abundance in general. So abundance of love, abundance of whatever you are looking for abundance of per se. And labradorite, the psychic zone. I love that it's about intuition and transformation. And the whole Lionsgate is about transformation. So, yay. All right. JK, what's up? Yeah, check out all the channels too from JK as well. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Yay. Whitney, my hair. So my little cousin did this hairdo. She's awesome. I love it. Like I said, all of our family is here this weekend and it's so amazing. So yeah, I like look at this environment is insane. It's so the vibe is chilling. It's just so beautiful out here. There's really no cars. It's like just the peepers, just the crickets. I love it. So okay, so back to the crystals that you can use for manifestation through Lionsgate Portal. So now we can do clear quartz, right? Clear quartz is amazing because it amplifies everything, and it really brings clarity. So you can use clear quartz as well. And the last one is tiger's eye, and I think tiger's eye is kind of like underused, really. It's like I feel like it's underused. Hi Mike. You can use tiger's eye for your heart chakra, and tiger's eye comes in multiple colors too, which is really fascinating. It's really beautiful, but you can use that. That will strengthen your willpower, that will strengthen your heart, right? So you could use those crystals to help amplify your heart desires, because remember, the Lionsgate portal is really about transformation and your heart desires. Because, like I say before, all of us have different desires, right? Each one of us have different desires. And those desires are to really help us guide us on our way, on our journey, because everybody yes, Mike, blue tiger's eye is awesome. I love it. And there's red tiger's eye, and then there's the regular tiger's eye. And it's just all so beautiful. Every single part of tiger's eye is gorgeous. Um, but really, we each one of us, a different desire, and I believe that our desires are connected to our path. And so this is the time to really say, what do I desire? What makes me feel fulfilled? What makes me feel happy? Because that is what you should be going towards. That is what you're here to do. That is your purpose, is to pursue what your heart desires are. So this is the time to do it, and this Lionsgate happens every year, right? On the eighth day of the eighth month. And we talk about numbers all the time. And number eight is about abundance, right? It's the infinity symbol if you turn it on its side. So it's about infinite abundance. So this is giving us the opportunity to say, what is our heart desire? Because the 8-8 is going to amplify that, right? And that's why the ancient Egyptians used that power to amplify their new beginnings. And it's also when the star of Sirius will come and be directly above the Great Pyramid. So again, amplifying energy, right? Because the pyramids were amplifying energy in which of a state of a higher consciousness. So it's really not like you're not going to find anybody buried or things like that. If you look deeper into the pyramids, maybe you do find somebody buried. I don't know. I don't really know all of that shit. But what I do know is about the consciousness. So I do know that they used the Great Pyramid for a higher consciousness, right? So this is the time where this portal, the Sphinx, the Sirius above the Great Pyramid, this is all new beginnings, transformations. That's why a lot of us right now are going through transformations. Hi. Oh, I love you, Jenny. Thank you so much. Hi, Crystal. I love you. So, using this Lion Gates portal is really giving us an opportunity for new beginnings. And a lot of us are going through transformations right now, and total transformations, which are the hardest part. So, don't be surprised if you feel like your whole life is falling apart. Maybe people that you thought you cared about, maybe people that you thought cared about you, maybe friends, maybe family, maybe jobs. Anything. It's like everything is kind of just falling apart right now. And it's because it's enabling you to go after what your heart desires, right? Because if things didn't fall apart, if people, places, and things didn't fall out of your life, there would be no room to bring in new people and new things and new opportunity. It's all about releasing the old and bringing in the new. And this is all part of the Lion's Gate. Yes, it sounds beautiful to be able to say, this is what my heart desires and this is what I'm going to go for. But again, it comes out of sacrifice, right? Sacrifice, again, has been a thing for thousands and thousands of years. And, it's about sacrificing that old self, that old programming. So now that the Lionsgate portal is in 2 days. So maybe you're already feeling effects of this. Maybe you're already feeling like, oh shit, this is really not going how I thought it was going to go. And that's because it's literally making room for your heart desire, for what you are trying to do and where you are trying to go. Because remember, you have a consciousness and a subconsciousness. And when they are in sync, you have flow. And then you're just creating new opportunities, even at a subconscious level. So you could be creating things that you don't even realize that you're creating. And then boom, it happens. And you're like, oh shit, why did all of this stuff just fall apart? And boom, all of a sudden, all the things that you're trying to do are coming into your life. Opportunities, new people, new places like this. So it's super important to embrace the change. Jenny says, "Yes, exactly, because now we're in Leo season, right? And the portal is here. I always believe that even though it says, okay, July 28th through August 12th, I always, same thing with full moon, right? Same thing with new moon. I always feel the energy before and after. So even though they give it a time and space, I feel like the energy kind of is already here. So if you're feeling like there's great changes happening in your life, in specifically maybe at a fast pace, it's because the universe is saying, hey, these things that are happening right now are not aligned with your heart desires. So it's enabling you to be able to align your heart desires with what's supposed to happen. And also, there's a thing called divine timing, which is like, I know that I talk about how time comes from within, based off your psychic weight, but the universe has a time and space, and it's about learning to trust and patience. And maybe things are falling apart because it's not time for whatever you're trying to accomplish to happen. Maybe you're not ready for it. Maybe you haven't learned the lesson yet. Maybe you haven't broken the cycle yet, but it is coming. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Lionsgate, because again, I feel like the energy is already here and coming. And every week, until the 8th, I will talk a little bit more about Lionsgate and a little bit more about what you can do, maybe some rituals, and stuff like that as we get closer to the 8th. But again, today, the crystals that you can use are jade, citrine, labradorite, clear quartz, and tiger's eye. So those are the main group that you can use to help heighten your heart desire. Or maybe you don't know what your heart desire is. So maybe you can take these crystals and do a meditation, or sit with them and just kind of like get a download. Maybe there's going to be some information that comes through that is connected to your heart desire. So, yeah. Okay. So that's enough about that. Let's talk about crazy ass experiences that I've had as being a psychic medium, but being a life path 29 as well, right? Because 29 breaks down to 11. What is 11? Is the seen and unseen. So I'm literally like a walking portal. It's kind of crazy, but it's fun. So I don't know. I just wanted to talk a little bit about like some crazy shit that's happened to me. Because I do want to announce that there's also going to be a new podcast coming up, that I'm doing with a co-host. And I don't want to give too much away, but we met in a crazy circumstance, and we continue to have crazy circumstances continue to this day. So we're going to start a new podcast about that, about crazy experiences. We're going to go to places, talk about it. So that's going to be really cool. So tonight, let's talk about it. The first thing I want to talk about tonight is the things that have happened to me this evening. Like, as I've been sitting here preparing for this podcast, and sitting in this new space and just trying to ground myself, and become one with nature, because that's what I like to do. So, yeah, let's talk about what happened. So, I'm sitting out here and I'm connecting with spirit and giving thanks. And I guess let's talk about the first time I was here, because my cousin just moved, and I was here, and I kept seeing a man in a top hat. He's really tall, and I kept seeing a man in a top hat, and I would see him outside only. I don't see him inside. I only see him outside. And I saw him throughout the weekend, and that's when we were doing the Tarot Goddess psychic fair in Manchester, New Hampshire. So I think it was a couple months ago or whatever. And I was sitting out here and I kept seeing this guy with a top hat, tall, walk around here. And he just kept walking around, walking around. And I do believe that my cousin validated that the man who either was on the land or built the house was. Um, an owner. I have to get all of the information from her. Jess, are you watching? You need to explain maybe what happened. But anyways, or it was the neighbor that I talked to. Anyways, they validated that there was indeed a man here that had a top hat that was older that resided on this property. And I was like, okay, that's really great validation. So I went home, didn't think anything of it. And tonight I'm sitting out here just an hour ago, sitting out here doing my thing, getting ready. Um, and I had this pink lighter and it was on my computer. And I was sitting here and I could see a shadow outside. This is a corner. And I kept seeing it walking around the corner, walking around the corner. And I was like, hmm. And like I kind of looked at the screen because I didn't want to turn around because I could see the shadow behind me. And so I was like, you don't have an appointment, right? Because sometimes when I see things and like it's not an appointment, right? Sometimes I'm like, what are we doing? What do you want? Right. And so I see the shadow walking around out here and I'm like, and I don't want to turn around. So I'm just like kind of ignoring it on purpose, and but I recognize it, right? So I'm out here and I'm writing my paper, what I'm going to talk about, and I see it going back and forth. And so I ignored it. Straight up I ignored it. I did not ask who it was. I did not ask if I could help them. I straight up ignored it because I got a little freaked out. So, as I ignored it, my entire lighter turned right on my computer. It literally turned and I was like, okay, there's that happened. And I was like, okay, that just validates, that I was indeed seeing shadow behind me. And so I was like a little bit freaked out and I was like, okay. So my cousin came out here and I was talking to my other cousin, and I was waiting for her about her grandmother who just passed away. And all of a sudden my phone switched screens and my other saw it and I was like, okay, this is like crazy. I'm like, there's like a lot of shit happening out here tonight. It's like, but again, it's because the portal is here, right? And the consciousness is here and we skip the timeline and there's no veil and this is the new reality. I just think we are all becoming one now. So that was a pretty cool experience I had this evening. I don't know if you guys have had experiences like that, but I know that it takes a lot of energy for a spirit to move something, and to see that lighter move right in front of my face, like 3 inches, was a little bit exciting, scary, adrenaline rush, all the things, kind of like a roller coaster, but not. Yeah. So that happened. All right, cool. So let's talk about the Conjuring House. You guys want to talk about the Conjuring House? So this happened. So I went to the Conjuring House. But for me, the Conjuring House, my daughter went as well. And when we pulled up to the Conjuring House, it was like I could see along the whole tree line. I could see soldiers. It was like army people, and they were like mixed in with Native Americans as well. And they were like all along the tree line at the Conjuring House. And immediately, it's like they stepped forward. It's like they could see me and I could see them. And I felt a little bit intimidated because it was all men. I did not see one single woman. And it went around the entire property line. So, you know how if you've been to the Conjuring House, when you pull in, there's like a rock wall right here, and then it goes and then it turns and then it's a tree line and then it goes way down back. There's like an open field and then it comes back back around. And I could literally see army men and Native Americans all lined up against this whole entire tree line going around. And Jade also saw it. So we go into the conjuring house, and immediately um Jade shuts down. She's like, "Oh hell no." She was like, "This is not." She's like, "No." So immediately I saw a woman. We came into the main room when we went into the conjuring house. Again, I don't know if you've been to the conjuring house or not. And I know that there's a lot of stuff going on kind of around the conjuring house right now. But we went in and we walked in, and I guess it's like the main living room, right? And I looked over and I could see a woman in white go from a side room and go up to be what looked to me is a back staircase. So immediately I asked the person who was giving the tour, I said, "Is there a back stairwell?" And he said, "Yes." And I was like, "Okay, I just saw a woman in white go up the stairwell." And he was like, "She's been seen a lot." And I'm like, "Okay." So we go on with the tour. And again, I don't really feel anything else downstairs. In the kitchen itself, um, I also didn't really feel anything until we went upstairs. And when we went upstairs in the Conjuring house, um, I don't know, I felt this is so strange. I always want to go in the creepy ass places. I'm like, "Oh, it's scary, let me go." So, like, we go upstairs and there's this little nook. I don't remember if it was I don't remember where this nook was, but I feel like it was in between two bedrooms. And there was this nook, and I stuck my head in the nook because I felt like somebody was watching me. I felt like I was like literally being watched. And so I stuck my head in, and I could see these green eyes like glaring at me. And I was like, the fuck? And so the Conjuring house, I saw green eyes literally staring at me. What that was, I don't know. But we also got it on camera. So I know for a fact, and Jade also validated that there were green eyes. That's what I know. I feel like the Nook, it's been over a year since I've been there, but the Nook, I feel like at the Conjuring house was like almost an L shape. So as soon as I saw green eyes, I was like, fuck yeah. So like let's go. So I like go into this dark ass nook. There's no lights, nothing, right? So I go into this dark nook, and there's green eyes and a black shadow. And it's like it's the craziest stuff. It's like the shadow is like there, and the Conjuring house has this thing with green eyes. So I go into the closet, and I go and I turn around the nook, and it's completely black, and nothing happened. I know, I'm sorry to be such a bummer, but nothing happened. I saw the eyes, I saw the figure, I went to go after it, and it was gone. So I don't know if anybody else has had experiences with that. Um I just yeah, it's um yeah, sometimes our past trauma gets blocked too. The best way to work on that is to write letters to your old memories. And then I always burn them with the intent to heal. So, Jenny, that might help. But so we go in the Conjuring house. So then the guy who gives the tour is like, "Do you feel anything in the closet?" Because by now he's already like, "You validated every single spirit that's in this house." And I'm like, "Okay." So then we go into there's like this closet, and he's like, "There's a little boy in here." And I'm like, "Supposedly or is?" And he's like, "Supposedly." And I'm like, "All right." So we go in the closet. I go in the closet, and I hear, and I was like, "Oh shit." Like literally something ran at me in that closet. And I was like, "Oh hell no." So I got out of the closet and I run down the stairs, and I was like, upstairs is not for me. Like, so I feel like the Conjuring house does have spirit there. And that was crazy. I didn't feel threatened at all. I just think that there's spirit there that knows that they can fuck with you. That's what I see. The spirit that I was scared about were outside, were the army, the soldiers, the native. I just feel like there was some, I don't know what kind of juju that is, but it's juju that I'm scared of. So, yeah, that was our experience at the Conjuring house. I don't know if anybody else has been to the Conjuring house, but that was our experience. Hi, Jessica. So, yeah, so all right. Another cool place that I've been to that had crazy ass experiences was the Lizzie Borden house. So let's talk about the Lizzie Borden house. And the Lizzie Borden house, okay, so Conjuring House is located in Rhode Island. The Lizzie Borden house is located in Massachusetts. And so Jade and I also went to the Lizzie Borden house. And I happen to just love the Lizzie Borden house. It's a beautiful house, like through and through. I love it. I love the vibe. It's not scary to me either. So when we went to the Lizzie Borden house, I did not see Lizzie Borden. However, I did see her stepmother, the one that took an axe to her head. So she's there, and I could see her pacing through the hallway. Pacing through the hallway, she was pissed. She was so mad that people were in her house. She was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So and she was wearing like a dress that would be in that era. And her hair is up. And she just walks back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Just so angry. She's the one that got 40 whacks. Yeah, she's the one. I can't remember that song. Jade remembers it though, and she sang it when we were there, which is so disturbing, but whatever. So, yeah, so anyways, that was indeed what I saw downstairs. I didn't see the old man either. I just saw her pacing back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, it was crazy. It was wild. So I saw her pacing, and then I didn't see the man, the dad. I didn't see him. I didn't see Lizzie. I did not see the maid, and I did not see the cousin. Um, my thought is that it was the maid and the cousin. So that's just that. That's what I believe. And yeah, and you guys can go to the Lizzie Borden house. They offer tours. You just buy your ticket online and it's pretty affordable. Okay, so we start at the main level, right? They give you a tour and I could see her just walking through. And so we go upstairs. This is where the crazy shit happens. So we go upstairs, right? And all of a sudden, I'm hearing kids. I'm hearing kids running back and forth. I'm hearing kids laughing. I'm seeing like maybe a 10 or 11-year-old little girl with a dress on. And she does look wet a little bit. But I saw her, and then I could see like a little boy. And then I could just hear all these children, all these children. And as you walk up the stairs in the Lizzie Borden house, you can go straight ahead to a room. And I was like, I can't even go in there. Like, I could not even set foot in that room. There was something about it that was the energy was just like terrifying for me. It was like all these children. And like, for me, children, it's kind of like, you know how we each have a gift and we all have like a boundary? I feel like my boundary are kids. Like when I see spirit children, I get freaked the fuck out. It freaks me out. So, right. So I hear all these kids and I'm like, oh, hell no. I was like, I cannot do this. Right. So after, during the tour, I asked the lady giving the tour, I'm like, who are these children in here? And she like ignores me. And I'm like, this bitch. I was like, she's ignoring me. And I'm like, okay. And so I say it again. I'm like, the children. And she ignores me again. And I was like, this girl is not ignoring me. This is not happening. Like, no, this is not happening. Did she get 40 whacks or get 40 whacks? She got 40 whacks. She was whacked in her bedroom. And like there were people in the tour that were laying down face. It's morbid, you guys. There were people laying face down on the Lizzie Borden, like where she got whacked. Like, I can't. Jade's like, lay down. I was like, girl, you lay down. So, oh my God, it was so crazy. It was so funny. Yeah, I'm telling you, the kids are freaky. So, anyways, I go in and this girl's totally ignoring me. And I'm like, oh, this girl, right? And so she ignores me and I'm like, okay, that's fine. So then we pay the extra $12 or whatever to go in the basement because you always want to go to the basement. If you're going on a tour in a house, and they charge extra for the basement, you go to the basement. You pay the extra and go to the basement. So we go to the basement. Boom, instantly, I see a cat. Instantly, there's an animal down there, a cat. And she's like, okay. She's like, and we go in and there's like the little well thing down there. And Jade's like, there's a little kid in the well. And she's like, what do you mean there's a little kid in the well? And Jade's like, there's a little kid in the well that's telling me to get in the well. And I'm like, Jade, don't get in the well. Like, we're not doing this today. Like, this is not what we're doing today. Like, it was crazy. And so the lady finally was like, okay, because it's the end of the tour, right? And we're at the in the basement, and she literally was like, okay, you have called out everybody that I've seen in this house and felt. And I was like, okay, so you were just ignoring me because like that's part of the story. And she was like, yes. And I was like, oh my God. And she's such an amazing soul. And I love her to this day. And it was just so funny how she was like ignoring everything I was saying. And it just was validated. So what Jess says, why the basement? Well, the basement is always creepy, right? It's always creepy, and you always want to have a creepy experience. And it's, I don't know, but it's like a lot of spirit reside in the basement. Why? I don't know. I'll have to ask or somebody or research it. But yeah, it was pretty wild. So come to find out, the neighbor, who I believe was Lizzie's cousin, drowned her children next door to the Lizzie Borden house. So those children are residing in the Borden house because their mom was obviously mentally ill because their mom drowned them. And those children spent a lot of time at the Borden house. So like the Borden house was a safe haven actually for these children, which is kind of ironic, don't you think? They're always creepy. I just like that adrenaline rush, I guess. So then we find out that there was a cat that lived in the house, and there was actually footprints in the concrete in the basement of the cat because they had to replace some concrete, and the cat walked through it. So that was really cool to get those kind of validations. Um, yeah, like, yeah, you can do that, and you can put, like, stuff on the floor so that you can see if they walk through. Ring cameras catch a lot of stuff. Ring cameras have caught a lot of stuff in my apartment. Been in the basement. So, yeah, that was really fun, and I love so you know what we did also? Sorry, I think I was getting The Conjuring House and the Lizzie Borden house mixed up actually because the well was actually at the Conjuring house and the cat was at the Lizzie Borden house. Sorry, I was getting it mixed up. But we did buy water. We bought well water from the Conjuring house. Let me tell you, they sell these little vials of it. So we bought some well water from the Conjuring house and we that was the dumbest shit we ever did. So we buy water from the Conjuring house and I bring it home. And all of a sudden, I start seeing this white apparition running. Shoo, 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 running all the time. Shoo, shoo, through my apartment. Running, running, running. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And stuff started to get weird, like in not in a good way. And so I went and took that water and I chucked it in the woods outside of my house. And all of a sudden, like people that were coming over and Jade and stuff, and I never said this to them, like they were like, what's that white thing running by the window? And it started running up in front of the window outside. And I was like, what is that? And I knew because I moved and I guess it's just still there because I never I might have should have returned it back to the Conjuring house, but I didn't. I just actually it might have been the Lizzie Borden house. But anyways, I get them confused. I go to a million places and I can never remember because I always go to the basement. So okay, let's talk about let's talk about the house we used to live in. Holy, that was a good one. So the house we lived in was in Hartford, Vermont, and it was I can't remember, it was a super old house. It was part of the original railroad that went through Vermont. And it was the house that you would stop at and get your tickets to go to the next stop, or you would get items that you forgot, like a toothbrush or whatever. And we lived in this house. and it's pretty wild. It's like at our home, yeah, and like I said, right now there's like no veil, like, so everything is like just one right now. There's just no veil, so it's like everything is just so easily intertwined like that. um what about the Kellyville killer? Ooh, let's talk about that first before I talk about the. So, for those who don't know about the Kellyville killer, so this is a guy suspected, sorry, to be a guy who took the lives of some traveling nurses. And he is suspected to live in Kellyville, New Hampshire, which is between Newport and Claremont, New Hampshire. He lives. Um, He's suspected. I guess I don't know what to say. He has not been convicted. He has not been charged. There's nothing. It's all a conspiracy theory. However, I'll tell you my thoughts about it. So he lives right on the rail trail, right, where they rip up railroad and create a trail with it, right? And there's been Bernice's mom. So what's happening is that um I think that they opened the case back up because there were a lot of cop cars and state representatives of like crime scene investigation, all that stuff, cold case, all of that were at his home a couple months ago. But there's also, um, I've always said this, that there's been a serial killer in the Upper Valley because there's been many people to go missing in the Upper Valley, and I feel like they don't talk about it. And haven't talked about it. There's been women, girls from UVM that have gone missing on 91. There are, and for us, it's kind of a big thing because it's local. If you live in or around Lebanon, New Hampshire, or Claremont, New Hampshire, or Newport, New Hampshire, chances are you probably know about the Kellyville killer. And because cold case and the New Hampshire whatever have been to his home, I have not heard um I have not heard anything updated about it. Um do I think maybe he had something to do with it? We'll see what happens. However, I've always said that I think there's been a serial killer in the Upper Valley for a very long time. I think that there's been people that have been missing that haven't been um found. I think that he has something to do with it, but I don't actually want to go there. But I am excited to see what happens with the Kellyville killer. Yeah, it's wild. You just never know, right? So back to the house that I lived at. So I lived at this house in Hartford, Vermont, that was right by the train station. And I remember when I was moving in, this was before I even moved in. I was going and we were kind of like moving stuff over before we actually moved in. And it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was putting away dishes. And all of a sudden, I hear a door slam shut, and I'm there by myself in a house that I've never lived in before, right? Nobody says anything about any creepy shit that goes on, right? So I'm at my house, it's 11 o'clock at night, and I hear boom, and then I hear boom, 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 running down the wooden stairs. Doo, 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 doo. And then I hear slam out the front door. I feel this burst of wind run by me, and boom, they're out the door. I was like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden the train came, and I was like, oh, interesting. I was like, that is interesting. So as the years goes on, right, I lived there for 2 years. And what happened in that house is that I saw a lot of people walking through the bathroom. So I know that the kitchen was an addition, and people would walk through the bathroom. And one time I saw this lady walk through the bathroom, and she was a little bit heavier, and she was wearing this bright pink dress, and she had this fancy hat on, and it was bright pink, and it had like um flowers and like almost like a Kentucky Derby hat, right? And it was bright pink, and it was like super amazing. She was wearing this bright pink outfit, and she had high heels on, and she walked through, and she had this fancy purse, and I was like, Oh, okay. So I started to do some research because I started to see more people dressed up in these funky clothes. And I'm like, damn, I'm like, where are all these people coming from? Like, and why are they dressed very extravagant? And I'm like, I really just don't understand. And so I started doing research and come to find out the biggest train wreck in Vermont history happened, I think like 4 miles up the road, right in Hartford, Vermont. And a lot of people died, and they were on their way to Carnival in Montreal. So I believe what I was seeing were the spirits that were on that train that crashed that night into that icy water that were headed to Carnival, because how I was seeing them dressed was not an everyday occurrence, right? They weren't just like business people or normal people just going on a train. These were people that were dressed in crazy funky hats and bright clothing. And come to find out, they were going to Carnival in Montreal. So, that's a celebration, and you would wear bright colors and you would have funky clothes on. And it just like, it just is wild. I saw a lot of things in that house. And then I also saw a conductor one time staring at the wall. And when I saw looked at the wall, I could see the back of him. And when I looked at the wall, there was a whole wall of different pockets. And in each pocket, there were a piece of paper, because I watched him pull the piece of paper out and then stamp it and then put it back into the thing, pull the piece of paper out, stamp it, and put it back into the envelope. It was just the coolest thing. And I just sat there and watched it. And I was like, whoa. I was like, this is like history. This is amazing. Um, we had a little boy in that house that would terrorize my daughter in a good way. He would slam her door. Slam! She would come running down the stairs and she'd be like, it's not me. And then you would hear it again, slam, slam. Like, it was wild. Um, Up and down the stairs all the time. Do, 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 do. It was, it was, there was a lot of like, I had to make sure that there was somebody in the house who would be sleeping, because like that was an intense place. But yeah, it was awesome. It's really cool. Like when I do see like full apparitions or any kind of like entity or um energy, I just think it's so spectacular. And I feel like I literally look at it as long as I can, because I know it can be gone in an instant, right? I don't know if I've shared this story before, but the very first time that I saw, and I don't think I've really ever seen an apparition as in detailed as I did this one time. And I was 19 years old. I might have been 18. But I was living on my own, and I was living in Lebanon, New Hampshire, by the old train tracks, in one of those really old houses on Bank Street. And there was just so much, again, that happened in that house. Knocks on the door, you'd answer the door, there was nobody there. Cupboards would open and close, curtains would open and close, doors would open and close. I also heard that in the back apartments that there was a negative energy, but I again never felt that or saw that. I only just saw busy spirits, like working spirits like that. But one night I was doing dishes and I happened to look over and I saw the most beautiful spirit angel that I've ever seen in my whole life. She was tall, she was skinny, she was had very long hair. It went down to like her butt. And she was had this flowy blue dress on. It looked like she had like something over her dress, and it was like she was literally radiating blue and white light. It was all around her. And I remember her hands were down, but they were open like this, like almost open to receiving. And she was down like this, and she was straight up and down. And I could see like her hair, like almost flowing back, like there was wind coming. Oh, I have goosebumps. And I could see her hair flowing back, and I could see her dress flowing back. And I remember her hands were out like this. And I remember I looked, and she was so tall. And I remember looking down her, and her feet, and I'll never forget this, her feet were pointed like this, and they were above the floor. And it was like she was just gliding into my bedroom. And I was like, I could see her blonde hair. I could see her clothes. I could see her light. It was like, and I don't think that she saw me. Um, I don't think she saw me, but maybe she did. But she did not turn her head and look at me. She remained focused, and she was just going straight. And it was so solid that I probably could have reached out and touched her. She was so solid. I remember seeing each one of her toes. I remember seeing each one of her fingers, and like the blue light that radiated off of her is a blue light that I've never seen. It's a blue light that I've never seen in spirit world. It's a blue light that I've never seen in this world. Um, but she was beautiful, and I wasn't scared. And maybe I was supposed to see her, because during that time, my mom was really sick. And as you know or don't know, my mom did pass away when I was 29. So it was 10 years before she passed away, but she was going through a lot of trauma, really. She had a brain aneurysm during that time. She was having seizures during that time. Um, so it very well could have been an angel who wanted me to see her to get my mind off of what was happening. Because again, there was a lot of shit that was going down. So it's just like so much stuff has happened, and every experience is amazing. It's validating. It helps understand that, um for me, that there is life after life. It helps me connect more with spirit. It helps me, um even though I get wicked excited, like when the lighter today flipped and I was like, like I know there's spirit out there. I know they're here, but when they show me tangible evidence, it's almost like showing like an act of love, right? Because it's so hard for spirit to, make things move, or to show themselves in a solid form, or to show us these signs, right? It's hard for them to do that. So it's like an act of love that they're like, hey, we're going to slam this door shut. And instead of being scared, maybe say thank you, right? Because it's not always a bad thing, but maybe they're saying, hey, you're going through some shit, and maybe you're asking for guidance or for help or for love, and you're not recognizing it. So, hey, I need to really show you that something really great is going to come out of this, like that. So, yeah, I will, yeah, I won't do anything. I'll just continue to share my experiences with you. But yeah, so I just wanted to say, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. I know it's a little grounding. I feel a little chill tonight. I'm going to try to get Leaf back next week. And come on next week, and hopefully he'll have great cell service or internet, so that he can come on and talk to us about the turquoise that he mines and what he's doing, because he is a really awesome guy and has, oh, thank you so much, Jenny, and has a lot of knowledge and wisdom to share. And, again, I can't wait to talk to him about his experiences, maybe being out there on the mountain alone or with his dog, and maybe what he's seen or experienced as well, because you know that when he's out there, that it's wicked high vibration and easy also for the veil to be nothing, right? So I look forward to next week. I'm going to see if he's able to do it next week, and we'll get him on here to talk about what he does and the energy that he feels as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. And just know that we're never alone out here, ever. And we will never be alone out here. And it's just about believing in yourself and believing in your spirit guides, and um, working towards your heart desire, especially through this lion's gate. All right. So talk to your spirit friends, ask them to show you signs and symbols, say thank you, apply it to your life, make changes, and evolve. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next week. And hopefully, we'll get Leif on here next week. I love you guys so much. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.